வெல்கம் பேக் டு மை போட்காஸ்ட். மீண்டும் என் போட்காஸ்ட்டுக்கு வருகை. 2 நாள் ஊருக்கு போகிற மாதிரி ஆயிடுச்சு. அதனால் போட்காஸ்ட் வரல. திரும்பி ஊருக்கு வந்துட்டேன். அதனால் போட்காஸ்ட் ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணுறோம். இன்றைக்கி Law 23. Vinod sir, Law 23.
Law 23. Concentrate your forces. Conserve your forces and energies to keep them concentrated at their strongest point. You gain more by finding a rich mine and mining it deeper than by flitting from one shallow mine to another. Intensity defeats excellency every time. When looking for sources of power to elevate you, find the one key patron, the fat cow who gives you milk for a long time to come. சொல்லுங்க ஆனந்த்.
இது கான்சன்ட்ரேஷன் ஆஃப் ஃபோர்ஸஸ் இஸ் ஒரு பெரிய மிலிட்ரி டாக்டிக். இட்ஸ் a great military tactic. If you look at the battle between the Greeks and the Persians, Alexander the Great, he had a very small army but a very concentrated army. His emperor, his opposite, the Persian emperor, had an army many times his size, but they were spread out and not concentrated. So even though his army was smaller, the Greeks were very powerful because they knew how to organize themselves on both the flanks, and they could flank now going around the army. They could flank the Persians well for the first time, and this continued even 100 years after Alexander. That Alexander repeatedly defeated the Persians. He just ran around them and he just destroyed the Persian army. I think Darius was their emperor. He kept withdrawing. And Alexander would never chase him. What Alexander did is he went back and took all the ports through which you could enter into Persia, and then moved to the center and finally defeated him for the second time. Alladan the Gordian knot lang varum, where a knot will be there which nobody can open, and they will say if you untie that rope, that guy will rule the world. So he sliced that knot and he will just race through Persia and come to through Persia, that is what is modern day Iran. He will come to what is modern day Pakistan, and on the verge of conquering India will go back. But the success of Alexander the Great, when he takes Egypt, what is now Alexandria, where his tomb lied, is all because of the fact that with a smaller army, he had a better trained army, and he concentrated his forces in one place, en masse. That gave him a very strong defense, absolute strength. So he would attack when nobody expected him to attack, making him war against him indefensible. Of course, the Germans lost the war later. They didn't have the supplies, but initially their move from Germany to France and capturing entire Europe was blitzkrieg அப்படினு சொல்லுவாங்க. That is, their panzers just moved, the panzer divisions moved so fast, it was unheard of. They just, before they opened it, they crossed the Maginot Line and crushed France. They just rolled out into Europe. They swallowed entire Europe. Only thing, his attack on Russia was ill-timed. Otherwise, he could have consolidated his power. So, whether it is Hitler, whether it is Napoleon, whether it is Alexander, all did concentration of forces. And the concentration of forces is such a huge thing in warfare. ஓகே, இதை நம்ம ஸ்விட்ச் பண்ணி வேற எங்கேயாவது பேசணும்னா, இட் இஸ் ட்ரூ ஆஃப் மெடிசன்ஸ் நோ. மெடிசனில் இட்ஸ் பிகம் ஹைலி ஸ்பெஷலைஸ்ட், ரைட்? So at times I feel this is bad, in the sense that people have become so specialized and are relying so much on tests. எதுக்கும் ஒரு டெஸ்ட் எடுத்துருங்க, பிகாஸ் டெஸ்ட் have become so common. the kind of analysis and skills doctor had, they simply don't have today. Like our good doctor who died in 2001, I think, 20 years back, was a gentleman named M.S. Venkatraman. He was a polyglot in the sense that he wrote books. He wrote articles for the Madras Museum. He translated one of Kalki's books. And he was a very keen cricket follower. He used to watch test matches full time. But he was an oncologist. He was a surgeon. People knew him as a surgical oncologist. In those days, orthopedics was not so big. He used to set fractures. அப்போலாம் ஆர்த்தோபெடியில் இப்போ மாதிரி சர்ஜரி போட்டு பிளேட் வைக்க மாட்டாங்க. It had not yet developed. And he was a specialist in fixing fractures. Our abiding memory of him whenever he went was that he would be reading the book every day. There would be something on his table where he would be reading and keeping himself updated. I have yet to see a doctor after him. And since he treated me for the first 25 years of my life. நான் என்ன நினச்சேன்னா எல்லா டாக்டரும் அந்த மாதிரி படிச்சுன்னு இருப்பான். அதுக்கப்புறம் I yet to come across a doctor who used to study and keep himself so updated. நீங்கள் என்ன நினைக்கிறீங்க?
Yes, it's very true. MSV was a rare person. There are rare people like that in history. One person who comes to my mind is Leonardo da Vinci. Leonardo da Vinci was also famous for this. He's quoted as an example in the law, in the book, as someone we all aspire to be, but we cannot be. These are rare geniuses, people who can be in multiple fields, in multiple areas, and still shine. But for us normal people, it is better off that we focus on one thing and put all our efforts and mind and spirit into that and do it. Not all of us can be MSV, Anand. I think we should be a little kind to all the other doctors.
No, MSV is a doctor.
He was more than a doctor, man.
He didn't...
We knew him as a doctor because we went to him as a doctor. But he was a great teacher. And you have met some of his students, so you know what a great man he is.
And his brother was even bigger than him. But
correct.
What I'm trying to say is, you should have a general, if you want to take something like medicine or law, or you take law.
Law is another good example, yes. Law is a great example.
People now over-specialize. They say that, okay, எனக்கு criminal law தான் வரும், எனக்கு civil law தெரியாது. And I have met lawyers who say they don't understand the Constitution. But if you cannot understand the Constitution, how can you practice law? The Constitution is what decides whether a law is good or bad. See, a lawyer has a right to challenge what they call a law is called a statute. Okay, law நம்ம statute னு கூப்பிடுவோம். So you have a right to challenge the law itself if it's unconstitutional. Of course, the Supreme Court will decide whether it is unconstitutional or not. But if you have a great understanding of the Constitution, you may challenge the law itself instead of when you're defending a client. You challenge the law and you try to sometimes there are big judgments. Like இப்போ இந்தியாவில் 3 judgment வந்தது. 3 judgments which defined Indian jurisprudence. Of that, the foremost case is the Gokulnath case. There is the Gokulnath case. There is the Minerva Mills case. The Minerva Mills and Gokulnath case was case on acquisition of land and those right to property. Finally, instead of becoming mundane civil law, the Supreme Court decided what was the right of the Parliament to amend the law. How can you change? What is the power of an existing of parliament to amend the constitution. The question was whether the constitution gave the parliament or parliament created the constitution. The judgment was that the constitution was the mother and the parliament was subservient to the constitution, and therefore amending the constitution became more difficult. The judges then said there is certain basic features of our constitutions which cannot be changed. So those three cases. One, Gokulnath is a case of a mutt. Minerva Mills is a case of a mills in Bangalore. Those cases became constitutional matters where the law itself was changed. They were aggrieved against the law and we felt that they were being unfairly judged. But they ended up challenging the constitution. And finally, the basic structure came. So I find it very funny when today's lawyers tell me they don't understand the constitution. If you don't understand...
I think I think there's two aspects to it. One is specialization, the other is having basic knowledge. But I think there's a small difference in what you're saying. You're saying what people fail to do is they pick a topic and they get too lazy to dive deep down and study it.
Yes.
Being something like the Constitution is a fundamental pillar of any law which you practice.
Yes.
Because your law, whatever your profession is based on it. It's like basic medicine, Mary. You have to know basic medicine to be a doctor. You cannot forego that.
But today's specialist,
the Constitution,
today's specialist.
Mama, you cannot say I'm a specialist lawyer and not know the Constitution. That means you're not a lawyer at all.
That is where 95% of our lawyers are today.
Yeah, but that is proof to this law that you're not specializing in it. You're not deep diving. Because if you're a good lawyer and you've specialized in the Constitution and you've studied it and you've deep mined it, then your worth is in gold, because you are someone who can walk in, like your grandfather was in auditing.
Yes.
You can walk into any place and you can command your price because your knowledge is eternal. You cannot, no one can question you in your knowledge.
And instead, they do specialized income tax and Lana. They know only the Income Tax Act. Whether that income tax, provision of that income tax can be challenged by a constitutional manner is something they don't have. That's why they say we will bring a senior.
But that's what the senior is. He's a specialist because he spent time actually studying it. எனக்கு என்ன ஞாபகம் வருதுன்னா, நான் சின்னவனாக இருக்கும்போது நீ வந்து என்னோட புத்தகம் படிக்க வச்ச இந்த அக்கியோ மொரிட்டோர புக்கு, அந்த மேட் இன் ஜப்பான். அதில் வந்து அவன் சொல்லுவான், ஒரு இம்பார்ட்டன்ட் இது சொல்லுவான்னா, பீங் அ ஜென்ரல் மேனேஜர் இஸ் அ ஸ்பெஷலிஸ்ட். மீனிங் நீ ஒரு கம்பெனியில் வந்து இஃப் யூ வாண்ட் டு பி அ லீடர் இன் அ கம்பெனி, யூ நீட் டு நோ என்ன டிபார்ட்மெண்ட்டில் எல்லா டிபார்ட்மெண்ட்லையும் என்ன நடக்குது. தட் யூ ஷுட் ஸ்பெண்ட் டைம் இன் ஈச் டிபார்ட்மெண்ட். நீ எனக்கு நான் ஃபஸ்ட்டு உன்னோட பிஸ்னஸ் செய்யும்போது நீ அதான் சொன்னேன் என்கிட்ட, ஒரு டிபார்ட்மெண்ட்லையும் டைம் ஸ்பெண்ட் பண்ணுறா, லேர்ன் வாட் இஸ் ஹேப்பனிங் இன் இட். அதை நீ புரிஞ்சிருந்தா தான் நீ வந்து கம்பெனிக்கு லீடராக இருக்க முடியும். ஈவன் நீ டோல் மீ அபவுட் திஸ் அபவுட் Ratan Tata also.
Yes.
That actually by initially in your initial days being a general, like a jack of all trades, you learn to become a master of everything actually.
Yes.
By spending time, you specialize in each one, then you become a multifaceted specialist. And மொரோட்டா புக்கில் நல்லா சொல்லுவான், அந்த ஜாப்பனீஸ் மேட் இன் ஜப்பான். அதை பற்றி கொஞ்சம் எக்ஸ்பிளைன் பண்ணுங்க நீங்கள். இம்பார்ட்டன்ஸ் ஆஃப்
See, not many people know Ratan Tata was forced to wash planes. Right? Ratan Tata started on the shop floor of Tata Steel. Okay. Ratan Tata's nephew is now working as a minor purchase manager in Trent. Trent is Tata Retail Enterprises. He is Ratan Tata's heir apparent. He's not been fast-tracked into Tata Sons board. In one of the minor companies, he is working as a manager. Two of his sisters, one is working in Tata Capital and the other one is working in Indian hotels. None of their colleagues know they are the Tata heirs. This is the kind of grinding you need to succeed in life. because you will know exactly what is happening inside the company. If you are known as Ratan Tata's nephew or Ratan Tata's niece, no Tata employee is going to, they will be subservient, they will be crawling in front of you, they are going to treat you like royalty. You will not be able to do a normal work.
True. This reminds me of this Mark Twain's book, The Prince and the Pauper. The prince and there's a commoner. They switch places, and the prince will experience how it is to be in his realm, to be ruled by a king, how it is to be a subject. And through that first-hand experience, when he becomes the king of England, he becomes a benevolent ruler because he understands what people are going through.
Lee Kuan Yew of Singapore was one such guy. You have to go through the grind to understand. If you remember, I was made to sell, means I have sold everything. That is, I did sales.
Correct. I remember you and Dad going to Europe on the pavement, putting your leather jacket and everything.
Yeah, I sold on a pavement in a place where I didn't understand the language. And I think very late, at 37, 38, I stopped selling. People don't understand. And today's children feel that sales is something that they should avoid. But all their life they are selling. You have to sell yourself to your girlfriend. You have to sell yourself to your boss. You have to sell yourself to become somebody's friend. So I don't.
The difference between a mechanic and an engineer is mechanic has experience. By fixing engine after engine, looking after motor after motor, that experience cannot be taught in a college or a school. Comes through self-learning.
Once you pick a profession, you have to go in depth. You cannot become, this is my profession and in that I'm a specialist only in this area. You may be a specialist in this area, but you should know the other area. MSV could have said, no, I won't treat you for common cold or fever.
True.
And once I asked him at the very end of his life, when we picked up enough courage to talk to him, and I asked him, why did you do general practice? You know what he said? Only when I do general practice will I see patients of all types and hues. So I can observe more. And from observation, I can pick more. If I do specialized practice, I'll see only that type of client. So I don't have to think about anything else. He kept on saying, because at his fag end, these tests had come. You should be able to judge better than the tests. The test is there only to confirm what you know. But today, unfortunately, what has happened is, test is the one which will decide what you have. அதுக்கப்புறம் தான் அவன் ஹைபாத்தசிஸை ஃபார்ம் பண்ணுவாங்க. Things have changed. Things have really changed. So you have to. It comes through self-learning. You should be able to pick if you show me a client, 9 times out of 10, I can pick whether he will buy from you or not. There is something in the body language, something which will tell you that okay, great, yeah.
Yes, interesting conversation we have had today. Catch up with you after a long break. Tomorrow will be interesting law number 24, which will mark us halfway through the book.
Yes.